Good afternoon, everybody. Let's try that one more time. Good afternoon, everybody. All right. I have a tendency as a high school teacher. I like interaction. I need to know that I'm important. All right. So, all right. My name's Anthony. What I'm going to talk about judge calls today, and just to clarify about that, what I'm really going to talk about is not the knowledge involved in making these calls correct. What I'm going to talk to you about is procedure, psychology, sociology about making these calls. When I talk to L1s, when I talk to players, when I talk to them about what do you want to see from these judges, what makes them more approachable, what makes you happier with the call that you receive. And so after judging and, after becoming a teacher, and I struggled with the title of this, and my revisions aren't on here, but a working title of this would be called, either for more information, called Judge, or what I learned while teaching ninth graders. All right? About how to get them receptive to you and even criticism, and really kind of padding things. And some of this is, I will attribute to a training program I had called Love and Logic as a teacher. So it's helped me out while judging and things like that. All right. So the first thing I want to head to, see if it's enter on this thing. Spacebar? Enter? Arrow key. There we go. Arrow key. All right. So expected learning. Yes, you will get a syllabus. You will get keynotes and exit slips because that's what your note card is. All right. So we're going to talk about what you should be doing before a call or the tournament ever even happens. We're going to talk about what you should be doing during a call, after a call, and the last part, as you walk on eggshells, or as some people may know, if you have someone who is upset and it may seem like you may not know how to handle it. All right. So our goal is to feel like we've had a successful event. We want players to be happy, and we want them to be able to take the calls we have and accept them. And even if you didn't get 100% right, you want to have an air of confidence. You want to have some rapport in order to deliver that call successfully. You want to be, and I love puns, you want to be a champion of or a nightmare weaver with your players. These are the two types of judges you can be seen as. All right, yeah. All right. And so, along with puns, if you've worked at a Star City event or other events, what do they start the day with? They start with a rather terrible pun, and I love puns. So my one for you today is, how did the Roman Empire get cut in half? It was a pair of Caesars. Thank you. Yes. All right. We often do this because it lightens the mood. We want to set the tone for our event. So that's going to go before a call or tournament ever even happens. We want to talk about that. We want to talk about setting the tone. And I want you to look at these two judges. And I want you to discuss with your shoulder partner, discuss the two, and discuss what are they doing right, what are they doing wrong, and how do the players see this. Yes. Okay, good. So we have some points out. Thrown out. So Judge A is what? Give me some of the big ideas. What are they focused on? They're focused on the event. On procedure. All right? Not players. And how can the players perceive this? Closed off. Cold, not going to help. Unapproachable, good. What about B? Too approachable, buddy? Filthy casual. All right. There we go. I like that one. All right. So that's good. So what if I told you these two people are the same person? And what if I told you that person has two thumbs and it's this guy right here? All right? So this is kind of my journey through the judge program and learning a few things and interacting. At first, I was just focused on doing my job, getting it set up. I was like, I'm going to do this right, I'm going to get this right, and go forth from there. What I lacked confidence in delivering my ruling. I lacked empathy to approach my players. And overall, I was not well recepted. It took a lot of work. And this tournament right here, that was about a month ago. I was entering in people, for a PPTQ. And normally, I have the store sets up table numbers beforehand. There was a really busy day. I believe it was tabletop day. So they had a bunch of people in the store. I forgot to check if the table numbers were set out. But you monitor and adjust. So I said, all right, guys, I don't have table numbers out. So we're going to start from right here. And these are where you're going to sit. I'm going to sit you for just your round one. We're going to have a player meeting there and go from there. Which was well received. I made a choice. I deviated like, hey, I'm just going to get you guys set, and we're going from there. I'll get table numbers out later. And it worked. All right. And I now learned to look for table numbers all the time. All right. So, what should you be doing before an event? Look for table numbers. There's one. What else? Product. If it's silk, good. We want to get everything straightened away. Entering players who don't have anything else to do it. You want to take care of logistics. Meet with the judge staff. Good. Good. Communicating with players. Communicating TO and prize support. Good. Cleaning up your play area. Often if you're at a local game store, you might have multiple groups, multiple games. You have a designated area. You want to make sure it's clean. You want to take care of it. All right. So moving right along. These puns will be everywhere. You're not safe. You're not safe. All right. Before a tournament, you're preparing to fight. So you should be getting to know your players, building rapport. You should be taking care of logistics and setting up, but putting players first. Player has a question. That is something that you take care of in the front end. It's not going to hurt you in the back end. Because oftentimes, you want to be out there. You want to be seen. You want to get those taken care of. And these are your run-of-the-mill. Are these sleeves okay? Is this card okay to play? Things like that. You want to be out and seen, not show up at the last minute and just like, all right, here we run the tournament. Becoming before a tournament is important. Last one is having fun. I make it a point to show up to my tournaments as soon as I can when I can meet players because I like to play EDH and I'm not going to have another chance to while the tournament's there. So I will have some fun. I will get stomped a couple times and that's fine. Every now and then I'll play 15 gods and then kill everyone. So it's having fun. When I said set the tone, set your tone. Set your tone to be a fun atmosphere. This is going to do a couple things. One, they already know you're approachable. You're easy to talk to. And when they have to raise their hand and they see you coming, they're already going to relax. All right, it's all about the psychology of the matter. All right. I have my notes. All right. So we've taken care of everything in the tournament. We've started and we have a deck check. If we have that, we can get that out of the way. But it's time to be on the floor. So what are you doing? So I want you to think about that. What are you doing right then? If you've judged a tournament, what do you do as soon as the tournament started? Round one. Where are you? Watching Magic. That's a good one. Why? Late penalties, good. We want to take care of late penalties. Just being there. And being there, watching there, good. Making yourself known. And why is it important that we watch Magic? This is true, but why should you be watching as much magic as possible? Not just at the end of a table and just waiting for a call to go to it. Why should you be? So they know you're watching, which does make sure they go to it. So it does a few things. It discourages cheating. That's one. Number two, you will get questions that a player would never ask if you just weren't walking by. They would just accept things the way they are, and they may have shorted themselves. And just being there for a judge call, you get more calls of a player looking up or go, "Judge," than it's screaming out, "Hey, judge." And by far more in my experience, just walking up and down. All right? Whew, excuse me. I should have gotten water. All right. So, you need to make your presence felt. You must make your presence felt amongst your players. You need to set the tone for them for these judge calls. So when you make these calls and you get there, I have a few steps help people out. Because sometimes people like structure. Because I've had a question, so how do I take a judge call? From an L1. Because, really we think it's intuitive, but some people do need structure. So step one, after you hear judge, you want to acknowledge the call. This is important because it makes the players go, "Hey, I'm not being ignored." It's very important. They need to be heard because they see expediency as importance. Two is approach the table. Not only do you have to acknowledge, you can't go, "Let me finish this conversation." It's, I have to go right when I'm called. All right. Step three, greet the players. As Hibbs said this morning, the first thing you say when you get to the table is, "All right, guys, how can I help?" All right. Greeting them, not just saying, "What happened?" It's like greet them. It goes back to courtesy. Step four is deliver your ruling, and this encompasses listening to both sides. As a teacher, I always like to repeat back what they said. That way you can actually convert, because sometimes when you repeat it back, sometimes that's not how they heard it in their head, and things will change. All right? So, and then step five, help fix the problem. Give them an answer as to why, and tell them if you want to talk later, that's fine. Because, second, you do want things to continue. And step six is very important because I've done this before. You just do a ruling, you write it on their slip, you walk away, and you hear judge and turn back. They go, "Can we continue playing?" This is all, this helps speed things away because sometimes they don't think they can continue. They think they're frozen once you come to that table. And wishing them luck. This right here is often very important after making the call. Notice I didn't do anything on rules here. It's all about making them feel like you're there for them, making them feel you're confident, making them feel that you understand what's going on. All right? Wishing luck is kind of like you're trying to soften the blow on a penalty. You're just like, and when I take a call, it's always like, "Oh, okay, this is what happened, this is what's going to happen," and you just, if you want to talk more, and you set that tone in your voice that, as I said, Judge A, Judge B. Judge A would have come and was like, "Well, you looked at extra cards, it's a warning." Judge B would be more like, "Man," I was like, "Well, looks like you looked at extra cards. Have you done it before?" "All right, man, not a big deal. It's a warning. Let's just, this is what's going to happen. Let's continue playing." And it comes down to being approachable, making these judge calls, and having success. And I know I've removed the element of the actual rules, but I think this is important because when I decided to do this presentation, I want to do something that's relatable to me. And what comes to that is being a teacher. This is what I deal with on a constant basis. And I've learned a lot putting it into judging. And I think, a lot of other judges can learn from this too. Be friendly, be empathetic, be confident. You have to be confident. And you too can have supreme verdicts. All right? Now, after the call, we've always seen this happen. Being mentored, be like, hey, did you follow up with that player? If they're unhappy with the ruling, seek them out. Ask them how their match went. This is fostering your community. You're showing that you care. Not only that, it's always a learning opportunity for yourself, for your players, for your floor judges. This is things that you need to continually do. Because the one thing I hear from TOs is they'll talk to me about a floor judge, be like, the players don't like them. They just, can we get someone else? All right. And with these, always try to join conversations. Always try to pay attention. What's the number one rule of the tournament? Never do what? Never turn your back to the players. So if you join a conversation trying to turn your back, you always want to be receptive. All right? Be present in the play area as much as possible. If you have to walk away, make sure you have someone, maybe they work at the store or another floor judge. I know when I do PPTQs, sometimes I'm the only judge because they're so small. All right. All right. Any questions so far? It's the first time I try to do this. I feel like I'm dying up here, so let me know later. All right? All right, so the last thing I want to talk about, and this is where a lot of love and logic comes into place, it's walking on eggshells. And this is something we have to realize because as people, we are not very receptive to people being negative towards us. This takes a lot of conditioning. And sometimes players have problems that aren't Magic related, and they bring them to tournaments a lot. Sometimes Magic is what they use to get away from it. This is where their buddies are. This is what they enjoy doing. And sometimes it's not enough. So sometimes you're going to have that outburst. Sometimes things are going to get very rocky. And some of the things that I've learned on taking calls is you can't take it personal. You can't you can't make your tone at all like defensive. You have to let it roll off your shoulder. And I'm going to tell you a few ways, the tactics that I use for that. All right. Using empathy lets you know you understand. Be firm. Don't accept excuses. Hold them to high expectations. And if you know this player is irate, introduce yourself to them. This is something I learned from John Carter. Because it's hard, you can be angry at a person, but it's hard to be angry once you know their name. It's a psychological trick. You introduce yourself, it's significantly harder to be angry. All right? So, what did I have in my notes? So there's a few words that you should absolutely avoid saying to an irate player. I have 3 words and phrases. What are they? Calm down. Well, calm down's a big one. It's all those are along the lines of calm down. Chill out. Same lines. One's a single word you should never say. Never say I'm sorry. What's the other word you should never say? Nope. I mean, that's connotation. Yes, you should never just say silence. All right? Never should. I'm talking about words that we program to use constantly, and they just slip out. It's all right. All right. Yes. All right. So the one word is you. You is often an attack word. You need to change your behavior. You have just totally lost control of that situation. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. I had some changes that I guess that didn't get conveyed, so that's my apology there. But those are some attack words, and these things, those on the next slide. I have some few other things. So using empathy, when I talk about enforceable statements, you'll understand more about that. Be firm. Don't stand your ground on any ruling you make. Don't make concessions, because you do need to, not only are you in front of this person trying to calm them down, you're also still being watched by the other players and judges in the room. They still need to see confidence in you as a leader, knowing that you're still going to stand your ground no matter what. You're going to be consistent. And we talked about that last. All right. So this list was longer, but yeah, I'm sorry, calm down. I'll add well and but back to it. But those are words that if you add or you start with, you lose control. And what you need to use are enforceable statements. These are things you can do. The statement, you need to calm down. Can you forcibly calm someone down? Not legally. All right. All right. You can't legally force someone to calm down. You have to use an enforceable statement. I will. I can. So, for instance, oftentimes we go, I cannot answer that question. In this one, it's instead of saying, a lot of I've had this mentored in me. Instead of saying I'm going to disqualify you, I will remove you from the tournament if this behavior continues. This is something that you can do. Like disqualify, for some reason that a hard K sound has a negative connotation to it. It's in linguistics, hard K. Just that sound just in our brain just sets us off. All right? And if they're really irate, you can say something like, I can listen to someone who talks calmly. And it may sound like you're being sarcastic, and that's the hard work part, is not sounding sarcastic. And this is something with working with ninth graders. I mean, I teach what some would consider the hardest age group to teach. And my kids would report others that if they harm my car, just because of how I treat them. Like, they watch out for me, they watch out for my stuff. And that's something that, if you can get a ninth grader to do that, if you can take it into judges and judging, these high energy situations are easier to diffuse. So let's come up with some more enforceable statements with situations that you've come across that maybe you could have used. Maybe you've had an irate player. They swear they haven't cheated. So give me some examples. Think about it. Talk with your buddies. It starts with I and an action that you can actually do.
I did not draw an extra card.
Oh, as a judge. As a judge talking to a player. Okay, you're a judge talking to a player. I want you to think about something what you normally say is like, all right, you need to slow down. And good. You need to add the I in there, but if you change it to we, that's something you can help enforce, because it seems like you're trying to help. Good. Yes, sir. Good. Good. Because a lot of times, people look to a judge if something like that's happened. They want help. And as I said, no excuses. I mean, you have rules that say exactly what you're supposed to do. Saying I'm sorry does not soften that blow. So saying we can let you replace them, we can give you a time extension, those are enforceable statements that pushes the responsibility onto the player. All right, they're not going to get upset. We're less likely to get upset. Yes, sir.
I notice a lot of times players tend to like to argue for the point, and some of the times you just need to shut off that line and keep the event going. So a lot of the times I will use at this time, this is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, these are the events that are going to take place, and then proceed from there. And usually the player will respond positively to that.
Mm-hmm. So again, enforceable means if you can come down to a simple I can, I will statement, something that you can do, because just telling someone to do something doesn't work. Specifically if they're irate. Example I had of this, I had a large 80-person PPTQ at a Comic-Con one year. I had a player who was late for every round. He comes to me round 3 again after being late and was like, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "Man, we have a PA system. We're announcing it, and I've told you twice." And it was kind of walking on eggshells a little bit. The way I told him, I was like, "Listen, I'm responsible for these other players. I'm responsible for keeping this event going. I'm responsible for, it's like I can allow players to be in this tournament if they show up on time. Not attacking him." And his reaction was, "Well, can you just enroll me back in the tournament since I've been dropped just so I can play?" I'm like, "Absolutely." He was upset at first, and I told him, like, I am responsible for 80 other people. And once you break it down to, it's nothing, once you break it down and deflect the responsibility away, it's more receptive. Because you can either talk to people when they're in thinking mode or when they're in emotional mode. You want to talk to them when they're in thinking mode. All right? All right. Yeah, we made it. So you guys have any questions? Any questions about any situations before, during, after a call? Yes.
It's not so much a question, but kind of a statement to, I guess, reinforce, reiterate what you had said. Talking about the tale of the two judges. Players will often, and students do, I'm a high school teacher as well, will forgive small lapses if you can build a relationship with them. If you are approachable and kind and, show them that you care, they will often return that and forgive small mistakes, which can also make saying I'm sorry if you do make a mistake easier later on.
Mm-hmm. And admitting, like, if you're saying I'm sorry when it's actually your fault, when it's a mistake you made, that does give you a lot of respect in the community. Yeah. Yes.
One thing I found helpful is when you're approaching the table, when you get there, kind of get down to their level, so they don't have to look at something, that's imposing. Maybe let them know that you're here to help, not here to hinder.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes.
So I had a comment about you mentioning good luck, and then also with the different types of judges. I've found that especially this works at PPTQs and Grand Prix. If you say after the last round of Swiss on day 1 of a GP, if I tell a player good luck tomorrow, there's this spark in their eyes that goes, oh, they understood that I made day 2, and this applies in the last round of Swiss at a PPTQ or whatever. If you get on the level that you understand, like, I mean, I think most of us understand the tournament structure and how it works. A lot of players don't that's not in their brain, and by expressing that you want them to have good luck in a specific part of the tournament that they're thinking about, that maybe not you're thinking about, they are a lot more appreciative that you are thinking about the players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just as you said, just thinking about that specific player can increase, their receptiveness of judges in general. And I said most of this was about just the psychology and sociology involved in just approaching people. All right. Turns out, if you're not a jerk, you get things done. All right. Any other questions? Yes. Yes. I've only had a few bites. I've only had a few. I do bring board games for reward days, and so far they like Ascension. But I'm trying. I have an LGS that will supply me with endless demo decks, so I've got that set up. It's just a matter of getting time. I'm trying to get a club started, so I'm trying to get something for the kids to have a place to come in and play. Awesome. I have you and then you, yes.
Let's say your TO is a store employee. The only reason they're TO is because they're being paid by the store to run the store. They're the ones printing out the slips and everything. They're the TO in the software. And they contradict you on a call.
Getting contradicted on a call. So is this in front of a player? Is this in front of the players?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's in front of the players. So it goes to one, you don't want to contradict another judge in front of other players. So if that were to happen, as I said, it's all about de-escalating conflict. So at that time, I would pull the TO aside, be like, hey, I was like, I don't think that's really right, and I would try to correct the call, and then tell them why. And oftentimes when something bad has happened, when someone's committed a mistake, if you just don't get onto them for it. As I said, don't use you. As I said, you can say, I believe what the correct call is, and then support it, and then go and then talk to the player. I mean, it's personal pride. If they attack that, you can't let that get to you, because, and most times than not, as soon as you become angry, you have lost respect and power in any argument. All right? Yes.
One of the things, kind of, the majority of this was in vain words, kind of speaking. Something else that also helps out with this, I'm taking this from a short experience in restaurants, is your body language. There are certain stances and actions that you can take with your whole body or your hands that can either make regardless of your words, make everything go better. You can say all of those words, but if you're standing like this, it's kind of contradictory. I've taken the habit of either I have my hands behind my back or straight down to my side. Because even standing like this in a judge call kind of conveys of like, well, I understand, but I kind of don't care. So I'm kind of sitting like this. But you're getting, if you have a defensive posture with positive language, it contradicts. And I have the third factor. So body language is a very important thing for how you're approaching a call, especially in the eggshell situations.
Yes.
Expand on that. Like every time I've seen judges handle a tough situation at a table, most of the time they'll get down like more on the player's level, because the player's going to be sitting most of the time, you're going to be standing. They'll have an arm on the table. It's not like crossover here or something like that, but the arm being there just kind of like leaning into getting into the issue. The players like understand that.
Yes.
So do you have any advice, I guess, for I've had players after like a call for like another player killing Avison while her ATV is on the staff, and like they accept your call, you understand that's the ruling, and that's how it might actually be, but like they're still not happy with it, like making them more receptive so you can actually teach them like why that happened. I've had players that accept it.
Okay. So, I mean, and that is going to happen because it's contrary to what they wanted to happen. So it's if you see that they're unhappy with the ruling, seek them out later and explain to them why. Explain to them, like, and don't say, I wouldn't say you're wrong. Explain to them, that, hey, it's a trigger, it still goes on the stack, and you still have a chance to respond to it. It hasn't resolved yet. And really just go through that interaction with them. And maybe they're not clear on triggers. Maybe you have a chance to educate them to help them as a player. And we have in the back. Then you want to be firm. Yes.
So part of it is managing the players' expectations. Because they want the game to work a certain way. They expect the game to work a certain way, and so you're having to help them adjust their expectations of how the game, how the situation is going to play out versus what they wanted. And oftentimes, one of the things that I like to do is just tell them, hey, let's find me after your match. We can sit down. I can show you on my phone what's happening, what the rule says, and then it helps them to manage their expectations for later on. But it's a matter of I care enough to go over this with you when you're not having to play a match.
Yeah, and that's what I did. Like I said, talking to me after the match, like sort of didn't have any interest in learning anymore. Like trying to get him to get that. Yeah,
And if they're upset to the point to where they really want to argue about it, as I said, you say it's like, I need you to continue playing your match, but I will be more than happy to talk about it later. Do things that you can enforce. All right. Yes.
So that also maybe brings up a good question about this, which would be my question in general. There are some things that are outside of your control. There's some things you're not going to like mapping. Do your best, try different things, see what that player specifically. They come back, you get a chance to work with them, or they react to you, but there's just times where you're not going to make them happy.
Mm-hmm. And the purpose of a lot of this, when I went through this training and I wanted to make this presentation, is it tries to deflect the frustration away from you. A lot of times we get frustrated when players get frustrated because things are deviating in the way we don't have in our mind. But if you can hold them accountable and only talk about things you can enforce, only things that you can do, it's going to lessen the conflict and things like that. All right. Any other questions? All right. How much time? 10:15? All right. All right, go ahead. Ooh. That's fine. Awesome. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have. If you have any other questions for me or about any other situations, I'm more happy to talk. This is something I've done a lot of talking about, and just a lot of judging and just handling this. And a lot of times, and it's my friends I'm doing it to, and they tell me to quit it because they know what I'm doing, because I have studied psychology and all these things. All right. Thank you.